outlets out there. We'll take you to the top of the hour. A lot of picks on the show. We'll cover those 3 MAC games and more. We got college football show today. We'll take a look at also some NFL trends to get you guys a little informed as we get ready for the start of NFL week number 10. And let's take a look at who's on the show for today. We've got co-host Joe D'Amico will be here. Rod Zawacki setting up his camera for us. Joe Duffy in the center square. I got it right this week there, Joe. So we get that Paul Lynn.
Yes, I feel like Paul Lynn.
I'm going to look forward to that Paul Lynn impersonation we have in your segment. Chris Ruffalo will also co-host. We've got Alninos in, of course. Mitch makes a special appearance on a Wednesdays with Mitch, and boy, is he hitting a home run on the show today, guys. We'll get to his pick in a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring in our co-host. We'll welcome Joe D'Amico and Chris Ruffalo here. And Chris, break down what we saw last night in the MAC. I mean, we saw Ball State. They look to be the worst team in the league.
Oh,
yeah. Nothing's going to stop my my love and affection for Akron, but man, Ball State just can't seem to get out of their own way. But I think you can also say the same thing for Bowling Green, giving up 100 points so far in 2 conference games so far this season. But I mean, you don't want to necessarily say let's not jump to conclusions after 2 weeks, but it's also a third of the season that's already finished. So there's not much time to make a good first impression, and I can tell you right now that Akron, Bowling Green, and Ball State just haven't made a good first impression so far.
No, absolutely not a really good impression. Of course, Joe, one thing we were talking about was college football and the defense's lack thereof. I know you've been looking at it, and a lot of point totals coming up. We're seeing in conferences we expect defense, SEC trending in the wrong direction.
absolutely, Tony. First, I want to say getting Mitch on a Wednesday show is like getting Babe Ruth coming off the bench. I'm excited to have our fearless leader here on a Wednesday show. But as you mentioned, defense, if our followers, viewers, and listeners are like me, as I do every Saturday, I was watching games in my living room. I'm checking scores on my phone. Something dawned on me that I had not realized sooner, guys. I noticed that so many top-rated teams are giving up a ton of points. And this piqued my curiosity, guys. I'm talking about college football, obviously. I delved into it come Monday morning because I wanted to get all the final stats because it's really put a crutch in my head. Of the top 25 teams that have played at least 6 games this season, only 3 rank in the top 10 defensively. Those teams being Marshall, Cincinnati, and BYU. Guys, you'd be surprised to find out that teams like Coastal Carolina and, yes, even Oklahoma State statistically have better scoring defenses than the likes of Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, and even Auburn. Some top 25 teams are so far down the list defensively, it's a wonder how they're winning ball games. And I'm talking about teams like Oklahoma, Miami, Florida, Texas A&M, and Iowa State. Guys, it doesn't matter how stacked you are offensively. Eventually, you've got to stop teams from scoring. You've got to stop them defensively. What's going to happen, I feel, in the coming weeks when some of these teams in these conferences are going to start facing each other, and moreover, what's going to happen come the bowl season or come the CFP, you're going to start seeing some teams with stouter defenses start claiming victories over some of these high-flying, high-ranked offenses. When you see these matchups and the favorites are laying very, very big wood, guys, grab an axe, start taking the points, and chop down your bookmaker like a lumberjack. Because I'm going to tell you now, I know the saying, you know the saying. Offenses get the glory, but defenses win ball games. I'm going to tell you this. Start watching out. Because in the next few weeks, you're going to see some of these college football teams, guys, play within the conference against other very good teams, but with better defenses. Don't look at what teams are putting up on the boards offensively. Start looking up what teams are good defensively. They're going to start either covering spreads or winning outright. I'm telling you right now, we've seen a lot of rust this unique COVID season in college football. A lot of teams that are winning outright, dogs, big dogs. Some teams that are covering spreads, big spreads. Next few weeks, conference matchups, bowl season, CFP. You're going to start seeing these better defenses take down these big offensive names. Tony, Mitch, gentlemen, Chris, I'm going to tell you right now, it's something I'm going to be looking at with a big angle and start putting out personally.
Yeah, some of these teams, the defenses, we're starting to see some teams start to, hit trend in the wrong direction. Maybe they're on the field too much. Maybe Nick Saban didn't like that. He doesn't like seeing all these spread offenses come into the SEC. That means teams are on the field a little longer. So, Chris, we probably when we're doing our handicapping, maybe one thing to look at and see how many plays some of these teams are on the field for defensively.
No, absolutely, and I think you nailed one of the teams that I was kind of looking at. That's a bit of an aberration this year compared to what we've seen in years past in Alabama. I mean, this is one of those teams that Nick Saban had that, since his time started at Alabama back in, I think it was 2007, they were a perennial, defensive. It's in the defensive team in the top 5, sometimes even in the top 10 if it was a quote-unquote down year. But still an Alabama team that was defensively solid. They weren't giving up more than, 17 or 14 points in a game on a regular basis, and they were finishing near the top of the country. But for whatever reason this year, they've given up 48 points to Ole Miss. They've had their fair share of struggles on the defensive side and just missing tackles. And, it's one of those things that, like Joe said, you just have to kind of take a look and see, who's maybe playing better defense than what we're used to seeing from them in years past, and maybe factor that into the lines. Maybe if you see someone off a little bit there, if they say, for example, a West Virginia, a team that has been one of the best defensive teams in the country this season, but, a 4-3 record, they're kind of flying under the radar. It's just because they've had some hiccups here and there, and they had one against Oklahoma State last week, but that's another conversation for another day. But again, these are just teams that, you kind of have to just pay attention to and hope that you catch a break every once in a while, every couple weeks.
All right, that's Chris Ruffalo and Joe D'Amico joining me here on the drive-thru, looking at some of the teams trending poorly defensively, and something to look at as we move forward here in college football. All right, we'll continue on the drive-thru, guys. We're here every Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. A lot of picks this hour. We're going to cover all the MAC games in action and more. Let's go ahead and let's get the show rolling here with Joe Duffy. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Joe, how you doing? I know you're a big database guy, and just piggybacking off that topic Joe brought up about some of these defenses lagging here in college football.
Yeah, it's funny. As he was saying it, I was looking it up as we speak. To back up what Joe's saying, ranked teams this year are giving up 22.6 points per game as opposed to 20.2 last year. Actually, 2 years ago in 18, it was also 22.6, but back in 17, it was 21.7. But still, as far as I'm concerned, I think that the defensive numbers, when you're talking about points per game, it's a lot more about the pace of the game. I always believe that the best defense is a good offense. And when Chris was talking about Nick Saban, remember, Nick was also much more into a ball control type offense. And it was really with Tua that he got a much more explosive quarterback and maybe opened it up a little bit. But all in all, I would still go with the great offenses. It's funny how Clemson, they lose Trevor Lawrence, and then they lose a game to Notre Dame, a team that has struggled against big-time opponents over the years. But I still believe that the best defense is really a ball control offense, but I don't know in today's game, the way the rules are, and where they call pass interference on everything, and where the quarterbacks are coming out of high school much better, much more equipped to throw the ball than ever. I just think the days of ball control offenses are gone.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it's almost like college basketball, where the coaching changes make such a big impact in the totals, the pace of play. I think we need to look at some of the coordinators now, offensive coordinators now coming into these big conferences now and pretty much changing the offense, speeding up the game. And it's definitely impacting the defenses, that we're seeing them on the field a little bit longer. And we've seen Alabama in the past, when they've had their issues against teams like Texas A&M, these spread teams, they just keep the defenses on the field. And I think right now what we're starting to see in college football is scoring and scoring and more scoring. And Joe Duffy, we don't think this is going to change. I think this is where it's headed because of the rules.
No, and I think really when a couple of the Big 12 teams, you mentioned Texas A&M, and I do think that was probably the tipping point for the SEC, where the SEC really changed. Not specifically Johnny football per se, but Texas A&M and Missouri came over, and they came from the Big 12. And as you said, Nick Saban, really, that was the only time he struggled, was against those wide open offenses. And I think if there really is a true tipping point when the game completely changed, it's when the SEC got a couple of those Big 12 teams.
Yeah, what do you think, Joe D'Amico, with the change in the SEC, with the addition of Missouri and Texas A&M, Kevin Sumlin coming in and playing that fast-paced football?
Well, I will tell you that I do agree always with some of Joe Duffy's points. I mean, we've seen it trickle down from the NFL. I mean, we see teams that were primarily, running the ball and stopping the run go to just throwing the ball and trying to outscore their opponent. We see it trickle down into the college ranks. I still believe defense plays a huge part in wins and in winning titles and winning bowl games, and I'm always going to. As far as teams in the SEC, Nick Saban's a smart coach. He's one of the smartest there is. People don't like him because he's successful. He's always going to be successful. All right, he's always going to recruit well. He's not like Les Miles, who rested on his laurels, went down in Kansas, and Chris and I have touched on him several weeks, that we're going to keep betting against him as long as he's coaching that Kansas team. And we're going to keep betting against Kansas until college basketball starts. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The fact of the matter is, for me, I have to look at defenses. I have to look at teams that can stop the opponent's offense, and I'm going to continue to do so. Joe Duffy's made a success over the last 30, 40 years in this business, and I respect him wholeheartedly. I have to disagree a little bit. I do still think that defenses are going to prosper, going to succeed. And I do think that down the road in these conference matchups and down the road in bowl games and down the road in the CFP, I'm going to start looking at defenses.
All right, looking at defense, we got the two Joes here battling out here. Well, now it's time for our show pick from Joe Duffy. Joe, we had to make a change because that Ohio State game was, it was postponed with the COVID, but you're coming in with a game I like here, Baylor and Texas Tech.
Yeah, 2020 summed up. I mean, why shouldn't I have known that I personally was going to get that game canceled? I said that was a game that I wanted to talk about, and then I get an email from you, it's been canceled, and it just sums up my year perfectly. But, yeah, this is a game where, look, sometimes the marquee games aren't always the prettiest games from a betting standpoint. Baylor is getting about 1.5 at Texas Tech. This is another one where I'm going to go with my turbocharged short road dog angle. That is 867, 628, and 41. And again, I picked it up off of that radio network, and I'm like, let me kind of combine it and also eliminate some situations with some angles I already have in. That's why I call it a turbocharged one. But again, here's another one. So many of my angles fit into the anti-splits category. When you have a terrible road team that's a very small underdog to good home teams based on straight up record, that is 290, 213, and 9. So Baylor has yet to win on the road. They're 0-3 straight up. Texas Tech is 2-2 straight up at home, and the home team's done very well in their games, 5-2 straight up in their games. So you would look at that, and way back before I had databases back in 1988, I would have probably looked at those statistics and said, well, yeah, you got to go with Texas Tech. Texas Tech has been much better at home than Baylor is on the road. How can they only be laying a 1.5? But again, another one of my anti-splits angles says that these splits will not hold up. It's, as I said, 290, 213, and 9. I agree that series statistics can be a little bit overrated, but I can't ignore the fact that Baylor has gotten 30 points in 10 of the last 11 meetings. And Joey D, you were talking about defenses. Baylor, it might surprise some people based on their pretty mediocre straight up record, but they're holding teams to below their normal average yards per rush and yards per pass. And that's one of those that I get off of the Fox sheets. That's a stat that I like a lot. Not just yards per rush, yards per pass, and yards per play on offense and defense, but relative to what their opponents normally give up or allow. And according to those metrics, Baylor's been a very solid defense, and they are a small underdog against a bad team. So this Joe D is going to kind of channel the other Joe D's philosophy and go with a pretty good defense against a very bad team here.
All right, Joe Duffy coming in here with Baylor. I like that pick. I like what I saw when Baylor battling Iowa State last week, and of course, Texas Tech, a team that has just been blown out a lot. Chris, your thoughts here on this matchup, Baylor-Texas Tech?
I'm going to learn from my mistakes last week of being on the fence between Pitt and Florida State when Joe Duffy had Pitt nailed that one right on the head. But I think for this one, I'm with him wholeheartedly. Two cellar dwellers in the Big 12 in Baylor and Texas Tech. but Texas Tech's been giving up over 40 points per game this season. The secondary's given up over 300 passing yards and 16 touchdowns to teams on the other side. And I think this is sort of a get-right spot for the Baylor offense. Charlie Brewer had that great year last year under Matt Rule when when the Bears won 10 games or 11 games last year. And now under Dave Aranda, it's taken a more, backseat approach to the defense. But I think that defense is what's going to keep Baylor in this game. Is going to slow down that Texas Tech offense. And I think Baylor's going to find their opportunities to strike. And I think that Baylor does win this game outright on the road. So I'm taking Baylor as well.
All right, look at it, Baylor. There's your Joe D'Amico. There's your defensive team here. Your Baylor Bears.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I always love Joe Duffy. And I got to tell you something, guys. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I'm on the show with the other Joe Duffy, by the way, there's Joe DiMaggio, there's Joe D'Amico, and there's Joe Duffy. I want you to know, I don't know if you guys have noticed, when I'm on the show with Joe Duffy, I don't shave. And they say the best form of flattery is imitation. So, Joe, this is my homage to you. I always go with Joe Duffy. There are some times we're on different angles, but I want you to know Joe Duffy's made a success in his business for over 30 years for a good reason.
No question.
Yeah,
The two Joes.
I think I need to cut hair both on my face and on my head, but I got a family that's so paranoid about going outside, going to the barber and all that other stuff. So sometimes you pick your fights, but yeah, I can definitely get out the razor myself without having to go to the barber.
If you could do me one favor, Joseph, I'd appreciate it. Next time you go to the barber, pick up all the stuff they cut off. Send it out here, please. I'll staple it to my head, okay? Thank you, Joseph.
Well, you got to get some shoe polish, though. You're going to get a lot of gray hair sent out that way, so you definitely want to have some shoe polish.
Buddy, hair is hair. I'll take it.
All right. The two Joes going head-to-head here on the drive-thru. All right, Mr. Joe Duffy, as we approach the bottom of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you have got going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, again, finally, last night I was not backdoored. I do have a play for tonight, a play on a total for tonight, and it looks like a great weekend coming up. I mean, fortunately, the games that have been postponed so far weren't the games that I was looking at, although that may have changed just since we started this show. But it does look like a pretty big college football weekend. And like I said, nice start to the week in a year that hasn't necessarily been Joe Duffy's year, but we're turning it around. And I look for, from this point on, for it to be a spectacular year for clients of Joe Duffy.
That's right, guys. Get on board with Joe Duffy. Why not pick up one of those 30-day all-sports pass? Get all of Joe Duffy's plays. That's NFL, college football, and, of course, college basketball. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from today, they'll be playing college basketball. So get on board right now with the winner. That's Joe Duffy. All right, Joe, as always, great having you on the show. It's always fun when you're in here mixing it up with Joe D'Amico and company. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you in a couple days.
It's always fun talking sports and just talking life in general with you guys. We'll talk to you in 48 hours.
All right, everybody. Joe Duffy here on the drive-thru. Continuing on, guys. A lot more picks coming. We're going to definitely cover the MAC today. We got the MAC games covered for you, all three of them. But right now, Joe D'Amico taking center stage, and I always get for some reason, the shot here with our buddy. Let's see if we can fix this here. We're here, and we've got to get this one in here, right? There we go. We always get the steer look from Duffy when we get off his segments. I don't know what is going on here. All right, we'll continue on here with the drive-thru now. It's a time for Joe D'Amico, front and center, my man. You're looking at this Boise State, Colorado State. This one is going up unopposed against any other game. It'll be on Fox 1. Boise laying 13 right now. Total sits at 61. Of course, a lot of question marks at the quarterback position because of injuries. But Boise State looking to bounce back after a little whip in there.
Well, Tony, Chris, sports fans, when betting sports, I personally, I do look at certain angles like sandwich games, look aheads, revenge, bounce backs, and letdown situations, for example. And these can play a part in a team's performance and, more importantly, uncovering the spread. Now, this specific matchup has a few of these angles, my friends, and I've looked at a few of these, and I feel that they have significance in this matchup. Boise State, which over the last 2 decades owned one of the best home records in college football, didn't just lose on the blue carpet. They were humiliated, guys, by BYU last week. As a matter of fact, not only did I look it up, and this is for Chris Ruffalo too, I then double-checked it. But that November 6th home loss was the worst they had suffered since 1996, which, by the way, was the Broncos' first year in an FBS program. And as of this show, Boise State head coach Brian Harsin is keeping it very close to the vest about announcing his starting quarterback here. Now, obviously, I would prefer the gunslinger Hank Bachmeier or even USC transfer Jack Sears. However, even if it's third stringer Cade Fennegan, and I love this kid, by the way, even if he's under center, the young backup has had a full week to prep for this matchup. And by the way, being that the line went down about a point, half a point to a point in the last hour or two, it makes me think that there's rumors that he may be starting. But just to let you know, I just want you to know, guys, even if it is him, I just want you to remember one thing. CSU certainly ain't BYU. Colorado State got torched in their season opener 38-17 to Fresno State. They then bounced back to surprise Wyoming last week. I think you're definitely going to see this team come back down to earth here in a big letdown spot. The Rams possess an offense that solely revolves around the passing game. Sports fans, the Broncos once again come in this season with an incredible secondary. They've got some studs in the backfield, defensive backfield. They will contain CSU in the air and get some turnovers in the process. I went back 9 years, guys, 9 years. Boise State has taken 9 in a row over Colorado State straight up, going 6-3 against the number. The Rams fall flat after winning, as they're just 3-8 against the spread the last 11 games played following a straight-up win. Here's some against the spread numbers for the Broncos. They are moneymakers. 5-1 the last 6 in conference play, 5-1 the last 6 as a favorite, 6-1 the last 7 as a home favorite, and 6-2 the last 8 overall at home. Guys, BSU will bounce back here with a vengeance, redeem themselves, give their loyal fans something to cheer about on the carpet. I do see numbers 13, 13.5, 14. Obviously, I want the better numbers. Shop it, be smart. If and when the quarterback is named, if it is Bachmeier by chance, if it is Sears by chance, the line will soar. Get it in now. Get it in. I promise you, BSU will bounce back, and they'll bounce back by better than 2 touchdowns, guys. Take the Broncos.
All right, Joey D'Amico says, go ahead and take Boise, lay in the points in this one. All right, Chris, Colorado State, not a very good third down team, not a good running team. So how do you see this one?
Yeah, I think the only thing that scares me about Boise State in this game is that Brian Harsin is notoriously vague when it comes to the injury report or not, giving out the status of players that are in question for the following game, and that's worrying me a little bit. I can definitely understand the case that you can make for Boise State in this game, just because I don't think highly of Fresno State at all. And if they can demolish Colorado State, I shudder to think what could happen when Boise State takes them on. I think I'm leaning more towards the under for this game, because even if it is Sears or Bachmeier, I expect there to maybe be a little bit of rust, or maybe both of them aren't at 100%. And if Finnegan goes, well, true freshman, I think Harsin's going to drop a game plan where he's not going to put a whole lot of pressure on Finnegan to make a lot of huge plays and throw the ball down the field. I think they're going to take the ball out of his hands a little bit. But ultimately, I do see this one coming in under the number, whichever way you slice it, regardless of who you have covering this game. I think this one has a hard time hitting 55 points, so I'm going to take the under in this one.
Yeah, I'm actually with Chris there with liking the under too, and I would definitely lean on the Boise State side in this one. We'll see how the game plan goes with Boise State, whoever the quarterback is. And, of course, Colorado State probably just one-dimensional, and that doesn't really work against a team like Boise State. All right, Joe D'Amico, as we approach the bottom of the hour, why don't you let everybody know what you got going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Well, Tony, I've got nothing but winners on Pick Dogs. Tonight, I have a gridiron play. They're 1-0 this season. I've got that for just $25 right now at Pick Dogs tonight, and I am proud to announce I have my first 10-star release of the college football season. Folks, I only put out maybe 3 or 4 of these an entire year, so be sure to get that big game winner tonight. That's just $50. And, guys, right after this show ends, I will be posting another early info move. As you know, these are undefeated this college football season. Get on this big game winner tonight and take advantage of my information before the line moves. And sports fans, what are you waiting for as a multi-time college basketball handicapping championship? The NCAA basketball season is just 2 weeks away. I have a 50% off flash sale. The entire season of my winners for just $3.75. That, by the way, comes to $2.50 a day. That price will double by the weekend. Get it now, folks. Saving you money is as good as making you money. Only at Pick Dogs. Guys, not only do I make you money with winners, I save you money with these flash sales. Go there. Follow me for the college basketball season. It doesn't matter what shape the ball is. I'm going to make you money. It'll be a puck, a ball, a football. I don't care what it is. Australian soccer, rugby, Australian horse racing. We're going to make you money. I promise you this. And if not me, go to one of the other handicappers here at Pick Dogs because they're the best in the game.
All right, guys, check out Joe D'Amico over at Pig Dogs Premium. Get a season pass, college basketball, or you can get one of his long-term passes. That 30-day all-sports pass will get you all of Joe's college football, NFL, and, of course, college basketball when it begins in 2 weeks from today. All right, continue here on the drive-thru, joined by Chris Ruffalo, Joe D'Amico. A lot more picks coming. We're going to be covering the action, and we're going to get a game going on right now. That Ball State and Eastern Michigan game coming up now is Rod Zawacki. So let's go ahead and key in Rod, and welcome to the drive-thru, Rod Zawacki.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry about the crappy camera. I just couldn't get the other. I couldn't get the other one to click in. I don't know what happened. We'll figure it out for tomorrow.
You should have called Joe. He's great at getting that camera going, man.
I don't even know what happened. It's telling me that I have.
Got?
It's telling me I've got Google Chrome, and it's like I'm not even set up for Google Chrome. So it's not even installed in my computer. So I don't even know why it's telling me that I have Google Chrome.
You're looking very colorful today, I must add.
I know it's looking pretty bright here.
I know, pretty bright. Let's get that full screen there. Oh my goodness, man! I got my sunglasses on here. Oh boy.
Like
all
right.
Right. All right. Well, here we go. Well, we got our first college basketball game canceled. Miami and Stetson, by the way. So you figured there would be one already. We're a week away from the start. So here we go. 2 weeks away.
Figure me, I already put that game out, Tony.
Oh my goodness. All right, Rod, you're going to be looking at some action tonight. We got Eastern Michigan and Ball State. And we've got Ball State laying 8.5. Total sits around 59.5. It's kind of moving around a little bit out there. And of course, Eastern Michigan, a team I hate laying points on. And I remember going back to our podcast days with Mitch. We'd always like to take the points with Michigan, Eastern Michigan, because they always seem to be in these close games. But you have an opinion on this one in match in 7 p.m. Eastern time. How do you see it?
For me, I see this game. Both teams are going to come in, and I think we're going to slow this pace down. I think this total is a touch too high for us here. If you look, Ball State offense, their first game scored 31 points. EMU scored 23 points. That's only 54 points. And for me, there were a couple turnovers that Ball State had in that game as well, and there was, for me, I think this game is going to slow right there, and we're going to sneak by and get the under. I think it's just too many points in this game.
All right,
we're not going to see it out. Physical game, beat each other up. Give me the under.
All right, Rod Zawacki says go under in Eastern Michigan, Ball State. This one starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and you can watch it over on CBS Sports Network. All right, Chris Ruffalo, again, Eastern Michigan, you know I like taking the points in this one, and how do you see this one between these two teams?
Yeah, as far as the total goes, I think I'm going to have to agree with this one. I mean, I liked it. I liked the over closer to 58.5 when the line first opened up, because I think a default for MAC games should always be, look at the over until you can find a reason to take the under. Almost like innocent until proven guilty. And I think we find the reason here for this game, because it looks like the line just the total went just a little bit too high in this game. I think we got a game closer to 30-27 or something along that line, something around 57 points. I think it's just going to come. It was going to come close to the number, I think, at 58.5. But now up into the 60s, I think it's just too high. So I think we've got an under here as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at that way as well. All right, continue here on the drive-thru. Rod Zawacki under here in the action game, Eastern Michigan and Ball State. All right, Rod, as we approach the top of the hour, what you got going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
I still got my Mac Attack triple still available. It's Hump Day, and what better way to kick off Hump Day than with some more winners? action this year, and I got 3 more picks there available to grab on the website. Long term, I'm starting to heat up.
All right,
Grab
guys.
some winners.
Grab some winners from Ron Zawacki over at Pig Dogs Premium. You want to pick up one of those long-term passes. You got a 7-day, 30-day all sports pass. All plays that Rod releases over at Pig Dogs Premium. NFL, college football, college basketball in 2 weeks. Get on board with Rod Zawacki. He'll get you in the plus side. All right, Rod, as always, great having you on the show. You have yourself a great night, and we'll talk with you tomorrow.
We will. Keep your eyes peeled. Something might pop up. I'm sure I'll try to squeeze it in there. It probably won't be as colorful as I am, but it'll still be in there.
Yeah, all right, you'll be able to you'll find it over at as we recap the show. If you miss any picks, we recap them at the end of the show, and of course we get that birdcage pick from Rod when we do the final scene of the show. So stay tuned.
That was yesterday's.
All right, see that one? That was yesterday's, guys. You see that? All right.
Yeah, that one got smashed.
Smashed, yeah. It was almost done in the first half.
I know it was, no question. All right, Rod, we'll talk with you tomorrow. All right, guys, here on the drive-through. We take it to the top of the hour. Still more picks coming. We got more Maction on the way. 2 games there. And, of course, we got Mitch coming up with he's going to give it a Moneyline Parlay. We got something really good coming from Mitch here in a little bit. And a reminder, guys, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, we do this show, and it's the drive-through. Picks from a lot of our Pig Dog cappers, and don't forget to smash that like buttons. Help us grow our channel. All right, we'll continue on the drive-through, and of course, now we're going to go ahead and welcome Mitch to the show. He's making a special appearance today, a third Wednesday appearance. So let me go ahead and cue him in. I want to make sure we have everyone on our board here. Mitch. Here we go, Mitch. How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm filling in for Ron Romanelli. If you hear some banging in the background, a little bit of construction going on, but going to make it worth your while to sit here. I got some good picks and also some analysis, just to kind of some betting stuff that I know Joe D'Amico and I could probably do a couple-hour show about some of the strategy that I use and why I'm giving out my picks.
Absolutely. Of course, Mitch joined us here on the drive-through. And Mitch, we'll get Joe here in a little bit. I know you had some strategy you want to talk. Before we get to your pick, why don't you let the audience know what's some of the betting strategies you want to cover today?
Well, I wanted to talk about real quickly is that, people ask me all the time, one of the questions that I got is like, how do I bet for a living? How do I get to the point where I can bet for a living? I see how much you've won over the years. I've heard you talk, and I've heard you give out a lot of winners over the years. And I know you've given out a lot of losers as well. I mean, we do how many thousands of picks, every year. So it's like, even if you hit 60%, we're easy targets to just point to the to 2 games that we've lost. But the secret to it is, and really the secret in betting is maximize your wins. Maximize your wins. Play to win. Swing for the fences. You take your wins and you move on. But when you have your opportunities in your spots, Vegas is built on minus 25-point favorites. It is not built on guys in there taking nice underdog plays, because that's what the house is on. The house is on the other side of that. Last week when Liberty knocked off Virginia Tech, how many people had Virginia Tech in their parlay on the money line to get back, minus 1,500, a return inside their parlay, saying, well, that's the easy one. It ended up costing them their entire ticket. And I'll tell you who was the big winner, and that one was the house. We gave out on our show Virginia Tech on the money line on our morning show. We gave out Liberty on the money line on our morning show, and I know a lot of people took it and got a nice return. All it takes is one of those Liberty on the money line makes up for 10 losers, and it's like you have to always keep that in mind. Swing for the fences. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying make every bet a swing for the fences, but when you have an opportunity, take a shot. And it's like, I'm not saying bet at all on those, but it's like, take a shot on these. And if you can get 3 to 1 on a double-digit underdog that has a chance to win, it's usually reasonable. It's the play there is reasonable to take them on the money line. We've seen a lot of college double-digit underdogs win this year outright. It's not just Liberty wasn't the first one this year to win. Michigan State won at Michigan. We can go on and on and on and on and on about how many double-digit underdogs have won home, road. It doesn't matter. They have been hitting this year and at an alarming rate.
Yeah, they have, and of course, Joe D'Amico, you've been sitting behind the counter, and you can pretty much agree there with Mitch. When you've got definitely an edge when you're betting, you especially pour a little more money into it.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with Mitch. Mitch has made a successful living at this for many, many years. And sports fans, he looks really good for his age. He's very successful. And I will tell you this, he's made some great points. Maximize your profits, minimize your losses. It's always about money management. Listen to me. I think less is more. I don't want to bet. And for anybody out there that likes to put out or bet 20 games on a Saturday, as long as you're making money, more power to you. I'd like to bet a few more dollars on less games. But I will tell you, I agree with Mitch. Week 1 NFL, I made a 3-team money line parlay, came back with $37,000. Week 2, college football, I made a 4 or 5-teamer, came back with $34,000. Week 3, week 5, I made it 2 more. I caught them. Now, I will tell you this, my minimum bets, 5 dimes went to 10, go up higher. But I've catched these money line parlays, and Mitch is right. If you pick your spots and you are aggressive when you need to be aggressive. See, this is where the discipline comes in. You've got to wait for your number, move on your number, be aggressive when you need to be aggressive, but you also have to sit tight and wait on that number. Okay, money lines are great. Be smart with them. Be smart. I mean, and Mitch is right with these underdogs. Every year, underdogs win more than favorites. Every year. This year specifically, particularly in college football, you have seen a lot more dogs. The lines makers and odds makers are as in the dark in the first few weeks of every conference beginning this college football season as the general public. So I want you to know this coronavirus has even the playing field, so to speak. So I want you to know Big Ten is going to start to level out. But the MAC, Conference USA, I want you to know there are opportunities right now. But play smart, move aggressive when you need to, but be smart. Money management. Guys, if you're 2-0 on a Saturday, don't double up on a game you love in the afternoon. Mind you, if you're 0-2 on a Saturday morning, don't double up on a late game either. Money management is as or more important than wins and losses. Guys, I can go 1-9 and win more on that one winner than I have on those 9 losers, just to use an example. Mitch is bright, he is very smart, and he's successful for a reason, because he sticks to the intelligent way and betting angles. Chris is going to chime in a minute. I'm sure he's going to chime in with the same angles. Tony, it's about money management. It's about maximizing profits, minimizing losses, and being disciplined.
Yeah, Chris, your approach.
Absolutely. Joe hit it right on the head. It's all about finding, and Mitch hit it out on the head as well. It's all about finding value in your spots. And, we've been covering soccer a lot more lately. And, some people have been talking to me saying, well, why do you always take draws? Why are draws your biggest play? Why do you constantly look after draws? And I know Tony and I've talked about it off the air as well, because a lot of times draws are going to offer you the biggest plus money. And to me, the game A starts out as a draw, and B, I think I read somewhere as a statistic that 30% of matches in the big 5 European leagues ended as draws, at least, and I think it could have been closer to 40%. But there's also something for me about potentially winning a bet where nothing happens. It's almost like that's just where you're going to find your greatest value, is just finding spots where you can maximize it. And, it doesn't get much simpler than that. And I think as we talk about money management as well, making sure that, you don't also chase, if you, like Joe said, you can fall behind 1-9, but if you find yourself down, a couple $100, don't just bet a game for the sake of betting a game just because it's on the board. Bet a game because you have a good feeling about it, but don't just bet it for the sake of betting it and then fall into an even deeper hole. If you're down a couple $100, you don't see anything you like, there's always another day, and there may be something better that you like tomorrow, and that may be your chance to get your money back.
Yeah, great betting advice here. Our segment here with Mitch, talking about betting angles here. All right, Mitch, I know you got a play here for the show. You're going to looking at some money lines. We're going to start here with your first game from the Mountain West.
Yeah, my first game is in the Mountain West, and this has been a conference that, this has been the Jekyll and Hyde conference of all the conferences we've seen this year. I think all the teams that won the first week lost the second week, it seemed like. It wasn't all of them, but it certainly seemed like most of them. And we have another opportunity here. We have a Utah State team that hasn't won a game this season. They went with a lot of new players this year. They lost a lot of the players from last year, and also they fired their coach. And we've seen teams respond to that in the past many times already. And how many times has a team fired their coach and then win their next game? It happens all the time. You don't see college coaches fired mid-season often, but I'll tell you, the guys decide to do the construction right when I come on here. But anyways, you see college coaches fired all the time, but after the season. You rarely see it happen during the season. But at Utah State, it did happen. I expect to see this team come out. And really, they're not playing against much in this game. It's not like they're playing against BYU or something, or a rematch with Boise, after getting blasted by BYU. This is a very winnable spot for Utah State against a Fresno team that we saw struggle against Hawaii. And we know when Fresno struggles, it's really piss poor tackling. And Joe talked about this earlier. If you can't stop teams, you can't win games on a consistent basis in college football. You want to talk about, line movement, something that, Bittler talks about a lot on our morning show, and the sharps and the squares. 33% of the bets here are on Utah State, yet the line has dropped 2 full points. I think Utah State wins this game outright at home, and that's the first half of my parlay. We're getting plus 300, 3 times our money on this pick.
That's right. Plus 300 on that pick from Mitch here on the drive-through. All right, Mitch, the second play will be in the ACC. You're looking at a team that's quietly improving as the year goes on. They're a young team, but we've seen the offense improve against a team from North Carolina that's not defending.
No, North Carolina is a vulnerable team, and Dave Clawson is a hell of a head coach at Wake Forest. He's done a great job. And how do you win games like this? How do you win games on the road against a team that probably has more talent than you do? Number one, fundamentally sound football, good blocking, good tackling. But the biggest factor in these games, and you hear it all the time, right? You hear it all the time. Win the turnover battle. And Wake Forest is, why are they winning games? They're winning the turnover battle. North Carolina not necessarily winning the turnover battle, but Wake is. Wake is winning the turnover battle. This is a team that covered against Clemson. I think they could beat North Carolina, a team that got beat by Florida State outright. So I'll tell you what, if you can lose to Florida State, you sure as hell can lose to Wake Forest. North Carolina, and the thing is with all the trends in this game, every trend is like dominant that North Carolina is going to win this game going away. Everyone knows trends are made to be broken. If it was this easy, oh man, it's like you wouldn't see so many people sleeping on the streets in Vegas. You would see they wouldn't be able to, have enough rooms at the Bellagio and, enough penthouses at the MGM Sky Suites, right? It's like, this is a Wake Forest team that can really ball hawk and really grab those turnovers. That defense is ball hungry, and I gotta say, against a team like North Carolina that can look disinterested at times, and also they have a bye week next week, so it's like they're halfway on vacation. Well worth the play here. We're getting about plus 360. I've seen it as high as plus 390. A $200 parlay pays $4,000 on these two teams. It's well worth a shot. If you play each one of them on the money line, if just one of them hits, you're still up. You're still up a full unit. If they both hit, well, you turn $200 into $4,000 in a hurry.
That's right. It's Utah
That's 20
State
wins.
And Wake Forest. Not for this. Utah State on the money line and Wake Forest on the money line at plus 390. Right. That's the money line parlay from Mitch. And of course, we put it into the Pig Dogs parlay calculator, and it spits out plus 1960 on a $100 wager.
Yeah, that's what I said. $200 pays you $4,000.
Yeah.
I just put in. I put in what I put on it. It's about $4,000. I might have some personal interest in this. But I just think that these are very doable losses. I mean, we've seen them in the ACC. The Virginia Tech losing outright to Liberty, and in the Mountain West, it just seems every single game is an upset. Every time out.
Yeah, it really does. All right, let's get your chiming in from Joe D'Amico. What do you got?
Well, I wanted to say something to Mitch. Mitch, everybody wants to be a 5 and 10 dime player, but the bread and butter of this industry are parlay card players, $50 and $100 players. And I want you to know that there is an enormous amount of value for those players that are the bread and butter of this industry to make money on a money line parlay. You know, if you're playing a 7 or 8 team parlay and you go 6 and 2, 7 and 1, you kick yourself in the butt on Sunday or Monday. But I will tell you this, there is an enormous amount of value and a very high percentage chance you can hit these money line parlays for big money. So if you're a $25, $50, $100 player, there is a very big return on an investment for you. Now, if you are a 1, 2, 5 dime player, just think of that investment. So, Mitch, I think that the masses can get a lot out of this money line parlay you're giving, and I personally love it, and I'm right there with you on them.
All right, that was Joe D'Amico. Chris Ruffalo, your thoughts here on Mitch's money line parlay. Utah State with Wake Forest, big return here. We got the mic, Chris. Oh, I guess we must have lost some sound.
Sorry, it's my fault.
There we go. You're back. Very good. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Right.
I can't disagree with it at all. You know, I think he hit the nail on the head with the Mountain West. It's been a Jekyll and Hyde conference all the way. I mean, I don't think Fresno State's a team that should be laying double digits against anybody on the road, even Utah State. You know, I think that the Utah State can definitely, you know, step up to the plate and rise to the occasion at home. So I like Utah State. And, you know, Wake Forest is still, you know, it's not the level of like Duke, UNC on the basketball court, but this is still an in-state rivalry game. And this is, you know, Wake Forest definitely be up for this one. I was on the wrong side of Wake Forest against NC State in their first road game of the season, but they still hung 42 points on the road. And I think if they can do something similar to that, they win this game easily against North Carolina. I think North Carolina is going to struggle in this one, so I'm on Wake Forest as well. I love this parlay as well.
All right, a lot of agreement here on the money line player for Mitch. Utah State plus 300, Wake Forest plus 390. All right, Mitch, as we approach the top of the hour, what's happening over at Pig Dogs Premium as well as Sports Chat Plays? We're seeing a lot of videos popping up.
Absolutely, you know. Absolutely. You know, we've had a lot of good things. All of you guys are on as cappers on my site. Joe, I believe, has packages going out. I know he has packages every single day, as does Tony and Chris. Of course, you know, we do the live show every day, and you know, I think we have the best handicappers around. You know, as far as you know, multi-handicapper sites out there, I mean, we are sort of in our infancy, and we are still out there working on things and making things better. But I think that as a team, we're going to pull it together, and it's only going to get better. I know that the audience reception has been humbling, you know, absolutely humbling by just the amount of outpouring of support, both, you know, not just the people that buy picks, which has been ridiculously crazy. I you know, it's one of those things you just can't believe it, but you know, on the other side of things, you know, the people that, you know, even hitting the like button, subscribing to our channel, just, you know, the commenting, you know, the support and everything. And, you know, there's always going to be some jerks out there, and we know that, and, you know, we're used to it. You know, we've been at it. We've been at it for a long time. That's why we got the sign right here, man. The loudest boos always come from the cheapest seats, and we know that our community, there are no cheap seats. So, anyways, thanks everyone for all the support, and thanks, of course, to Joe, Tony, and Chris for doing this show every day, because it's like it becomes a little, not just a little too much Mitch, but it's more also, you know, I only have X amount of hours in the day, and with everything going on behind the scenes, I don't have time to do it. I wish I could. I would be on 24 hours a day if I could.
All right, thanks for that, Mitch. As always, great having you on the show. And let's see, as any appearances later evening, any halftime, or we're going to get you back in the morning tomorrow.
No, it'll just be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Rod and Chris and Ann, one of our newest handicappers, one of the first female handicappers in the business. She's not the hostess. She's a handicapper on the website. She's damn good at those totals. And, of course, Brian Bittler, you know, who, you know, sometimes gets our jokes and sometimes doesn't like them too much, but that's okay.
All right.
we're gonna try and take it to a whole new level of professionalism. And
right.
I'm telling you what, if Zawacki doesn't get that camera, he knows Zawacki's gonna be up all night trying to plug in that camera, because he knows the ball busting that he's going to get from us. It's like, Rod, you got to plug the camera in. You take it out of the box. You plug it in the slot. That's how it works.
That's right. All right, Mitch, it's always great having your show. Have a great night. We'll watch and listen to you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
Thanks, guys. You're killing it here on the drive-through, and we can see, but that every week, I look at the numbers, and I don't sit there and tell these guys what to do, and I get the emails and stuff, but these guys pretty much run the show for the drive-through. But I see the numbers going up every single week, and it's been. We didn't come out and have 5,000 people the first day, and it's it's a building process, and people are still finding us, believe it or not, after all these years. So it's a different time slot for us, but I saw it before I came on. 200 people were tuned in across the various networks, and that's a step in the right direction. Last week it was 150. Now it's 200, and college basketball is going to be starting. It's going to be thousands. So. I'm glad everyone is being a part of it, and thank you guys for spearheading the whole thing. I appreciate it.
Thanks for that, Mitch, and have a good night. All right, buddy.
Good night, everyone.
All right, buddy Mitch here on the drive-through. All right, continue on with Chris Ruffalo and Joe D'Amico. Of course, we wanted to make sure you got that money line parlay there from Mitch. I will go ahead and flash it one more time there. It was Utah State plus 300, Wake Forest plus 390 on the money line parlay, plus 1960 return on $100 wager there, almost 4 G's on 200. So that's Mitch's parlay for the show. All right, continue on the drive-through, and it's time for Chris Ruffalo. I didn't mention food, my man. We still got a little. You got time for you.
I'm channeling my inner Brian Bitler, the number one college football handicapper, so that I can nail this pick that I'm about to give.
All right, he's getting ready here, and we're looking at some of the comments from some of the guys. Thanks a lot for those comments, and don't forget, smash that like button, help our audience grow. We greatly appreciate it. Chris, Maction, we got Toledo and Western Michigan going at it, and at last check, we saw the home team favored. We'll see if that is still the case. We've got Toledo and Western Michigan. Western Michigan laying 2.5. Total sits here about 59.5. Although I do see a 60 popping up.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you can't really go too much off of 1 week in a normal year with normal circumstances. But now we can't really go off of one game when Toledo and Western Michigan played Bowling Green and Akron respectively, and we all know how much I love Bowling Green and Akron. We've talked about it all week. The Toledo, a team that loves to run the football. They have that tandem of Shaquille Seymour and Bryant Koback in the backfield, and Eli Peters looked really good in that opener. Western Michigan. Yeah, Caleb Ellaby looked good in that game, but they still have to replace Levante Bellamy, who ran for over 1,400 yards last season. And again, like I just said, you can make a lot. You can make a lot of over assumptions about what happened after 1 week. You can overreact a little bit. And with Western Michigan, I think I still need to see a little bit more from them in terms of production against better opposition than Akron. Could say the same thing for Toledo over Bowling Green, but Toledo brings back more experience with the likes of Peters, Koback, and Seymour. And Ellaby only had 12 completions in that game against Akron. Granted, he threw for 262 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And the running game put up 218 yards. But again, that's against Akron. I don't think too much of the Zips at this point. I just think that, that returning experience combined with Toledo winning the last 3 meetings straight up and against the spread, I like Toledo on the money line in this game. So I'm going to take the Rockets on the money line.
All right, there we go with Chris Ruffalo says go ahead and take Toledo Rockets on the money line here. And we're looking here at Toledo to win it outright. Why not? They'd run the football, and their opponent had struggled stopping the run last year. As a matter of fact, when they faced off last year, 275 rushing yards for Toledo, 5.2 yards a carry. And, of course, Broncos did lose half their starters from last season, so that's something to factor in. So I'm with you there, big guy, plus 2.5 with the Toledo Rockets. All right, we're approaching the top of the hour, so we got some games kicking off. We need to know what you got going on over at Pig Dogs Premium.
Yeah, I got my my Mac 3-pack tonight in the Whale Bet Wednesday category. These are 3 of my biggest bets of the week. We still have a couple minutes to get them in before game time. Guys, these are, like I said, these are some of my biggest bets. These are the ones that I've circled, put down 2 times, 3 times, even 4 times. Guys, don't miss out on these. These are going to put some money in your pocket after hump day. We're going to start rolling down towards the weekend. got a big day ahead of us. So let's get some winners tonight.
Yeah, let's get some winners tonight from Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs Premium. Why not pick up a long-term package? He's got the 3, 7, and 30-day pass. Get all of his plays. That's NFL, college football. College basketball starts in 2 weeks. Get him from winner Chris Ruffalo over at Pig Dogs Premium. All right, continue on the drive-through. As we get close to the top of the hour, we're going to go ahead and welcome into the show El Ninos. You'll find him over at Pig Dogs Premium. Mr. El, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing better. I get my voice is good today, my friend. So I'm doing a little better than you are today. All right, we'll continue on. As we reach the top of the hour, Al, I know you're going to be looking at a game from the MAC conference. Once we get it out there.
Yeah, before I get started on this one, I want to get this out there. I want to say take your time. Don't rush to bet this one. The line's dropping pretty fast. I'd wait as long as possible to make this play. We're going to be looking at Central Michigan at Northern Illinois. Central Michigan coming off that 30-27 win over Ohio. The quarterback looked good, but their defense should get a lot of credit for that one. Coming up big late in that game and shutting Ohio out in the fourth quarter, which was needed as it was tied going into that fourth, and the offense only managed to score 3 points. Great job that defense there. Northern Illinois had a rough season opener and ended up losing 49-30 to Buffalo. They did put up a good fight, but it was all Buffalo in the third, and they kept fighting in the fourth, but too little, too late. Central Michigan won this matchup 48-10 last year. Probably won't get that ugly or even as bad as the Buffalo game, but I don't think it'll be as close as Central Michigan's first game of the season either. I think they win this one by at least a touchdown. As I said earlier, the line's dropping, so wait up on this one and try to get the best number you can on Central Michigan. This probably would have been a premium play at this number. It was unfortunately 7.5 earlier this morning, so I kind of stayed off it as a premium. I had bought the hook myself, but obviously getting a much better number now, so I really like this play.
Wow, we've seen this line really steam down to 6.5. One of the guys on our chat
5.5,
saw 5.5 someplace. I don't see it in my screen yet, but it's moving in that direction. A lot of steam here, Chris, on this dog. On this Central Michigan team, Jim McElwain's done a really good job. We've talked over and over about how he's turned this team around from a 1-win team to an 8-win team. And here we go. Now they're the favorites here, but the number coming down.
Yeah, and I wish I could say I understood a lot of it. The problem is that this is still a Northern Illinois team that has a ton of inexperience. I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I don't want to beat this into the ground, but again, it's 60-something freshmen on this roster, and I know Ross Bowers at quarterback is an upperclassman, so he's had some experience here. But again, I think Central Michigan is just the better team, and like Al said, they won the last meeting 48-10. I don't think it's going to be that bad for Northern Illinois. But again, that game against Buffalo last week was not as close as the score would indicate. I mean, it finished 49-30, but there were 2 window dresser touchdowns in the last 5 minutes. That was a 30-something point game for most of the fourth quarter before Buffalo really took their foot off the gas. So I'm with Al on this one. I think this is a Central Michigan double-digit win. I could see it being 35-20 or something of the like. But again, the money coming in on Northern Illinois doesn't really makes sense to me, I guess I could say.
Joe D'Amico, I remember Northern Illinois was a darling for people, 4 years ago, back when they were making bowl games. But last year and so far this season, things are heading in a different direction, and I don't understand it. We followed this Northern Illinois team with the coaching change last year. Hadn't seen much improvement. They got 49 last week. Things moving again, and now the line moving. As an odds maker, how do you figure something like this out?
Well, Tony, I'll tell you, sports betting suffers no fools. What happened yesterday has no bearing on what happens today. Certain teams over the years have been money makers, and then all of a sudden this year they're not. Northern Illinois has been a money maker over recent seasons. They're not making it this season. Doesn't look like they're going to make it. And in this conference, there's a lot of money to be made. Just because it's not a Power 5 conference, guys, there's gold in them there hills. There's a lot of money to be made in this conference. There is good a lot of good talent. There is great coaches. There is, and don't get me wrong, there are some crap coaches too, and there's a lot of crap talent. But you will see some great football in this conference, and you will see a lot of opportunities to make money. One thing I will tell you this, El Niños has got another hurricane going. You've heard of that. If you're old as me, you know about El Nino. We've got El Niños, and he's got another hurricane going tonight with this winner. I agree with Al. Once again, he's got the second best hair on the damn friggin' panel tonight. I don't know what Chris has got because he's always doing that. Oh, shit. By the way, I'm batting last tonight on the hair top. But I'll tell you what, Al Niños is a sharp guy. But I agree with him. He's got a lot of great points tonight, and I agree with him. And this line at 7, to me, I think this line should be closer to 9.5, 10, 10.5, 11. And I don't see why people are coming in on the other side. Maybe it's nostalgia. I don't know why. I could tell you this from a Vegas guy who is piped in to the wise guys here in Vegas, the sharp bettors and the pipelines throughout the country and the world. It is not smart money. This is general public, and I got to tell you, the general public loses 75, 80% of the time. So, Al Niños all the way. Let's ride him to the winner's circle, baby.
All right, agreement here with laying the points here with Central Michigan, the Chippewas. All right, Al, we'll get to the top of the hour. What do you got going on over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, my premium play tonight just went off, unfortunately, but this is a pretty good play too, so get on it, and I'll have my Thursday Night Football up, and as well as my got a few NFL plays I already looked at, so those will be up soon, and gonna get to work on some more college football games after that.
All right, guys, check out El Nino's over at Pig Dogs Premium. He's got a long-term pass is the way to go. 7 days or 30 days, get all of his plays, NFL, college football. You won't miss the week of action there. You'll get them all, those midweek games and weekend games as well. Monday Night Football will fall into that 7-day pass. And don't forget, 2 weeks from now, it's college basketball, so get on board with El Nino. So, all right, Al, as always, great having you on the show. You have yourself a great night, and we will talk with you tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow if I make it through this hurricane.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's actually. My neighbor just texted me saying it was looking pretty bad, but I'm not hearing anything too bad, so I'm not too worried yet.
All right,
but yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.
Let's hope it stays that way. El Nino's here on the drive-through. Check him out there. All right, guys, I'm going to give you some betting tips here today. We're going to look at some ATS spreads from the NFL. We'll start here with ATS. 4 teams sit at 6-2. The Steelers, Dolphins, Packers, and Bengals. The Dolphins are covering by an average of 11 points. Next to the Steelers, covering about an average of 5. Both the Chiefs and Giants have covered 6 of their 9 games this year. Now, bottom of the ledger, we look. Everybody knows Dallas Cowboys. It's 1-8 ATS. Defensive issues, offensive line issues, quarterback issues there. They're missing the spread by nearly 8 points. We look at the Houston Texans, failing to cover 7 of 8. Texans missed the spread by about 5 points. Jets 2-7 did cover on Monday night, but they have missed the spread by about 7.5 points. Let's look at some totals. The overs, the Saints, 7 overs in 8 games. They go over by an average of 6.7 a game. Las Vegas Raiders in 8 games, overs 6 times, 1 under and a push. Minnesota, Seattle over in 6 of 8. We know the Raiders, Seahawks, and Vikings defenses are not strong this season, but I'd be careful with the Saints because the Saints defense has really shown signs of improvement the past 2 games. So hold off. Keep an eye on that total. I'm not strong with them over, with especially the play of the defense. Unders. LA Rams, Arizona Cardinals, 6 unders, 2 overs. Rams we know they've had their flat offensive performances, but they face weak offensive teams. NFC East teams, the Bears, Arizona games have been lined with really high totals, and they've come close, just missing the over. Now, looking at here at some dogs, Giants have been 6-2. The spread is underdogs. I like the defense, to me, have shown some improvement of late. Vikings have covered 4 of 5 in that role of an underdog, covering 5 of 7 as a dog. Dolphins, Bengals, and Panthers. Texans 0-5 as an underdog. They're an underdog this week. And I'll go over to Chris. Chris, what teams have got your attention here? Look, as we move into Week 10.
I think if we start with just against the spread, I mean, you look at Miami and what they've done this season. They're starting to really pick up steam. But 6-2 against the spread, covering the spread by an average of 11.1 points per game. That sticks out to me right away. And, Dallas is going to be Dallas. And I think early on, I think before Dak Prescott went down, and when this team was fully healthy, you could have said, "Whoa, that's something to sort of take note of," because you have all that talent on the roster. Why are they not being able, why are they not covering the number? But now, with your Ben DiNucci's of the world and your Cooper Rushes and Garrett Gilberts, I think we're going to start to see some inflated lines with the Cowboys. So they may be a team that I'm not going to really try to touch one way or the other. As far as the total goes, Tony, I'm 100% with you on New Orleans. Tread lightly. I think a lot of that has to do with them being sort of, I don't want to say undervalued, but thinking that their competition is going to be able to hold up, and then you have New Orleans come out and put up 38 on certain teams or whatever. And something to take note of, the only reason that one is on that record is because of that primetime game against Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay couldn't put points on the board. So this was a team that was hitting the over left, right, and center. And as long as their opposition does their part, the Saints could be an easy over every single week based on just what we've seen from that offense. And on the flip side, when New Orleans didn't have Michael Thomas and they were one-dimensional with Alvin Kamara, you had teams that were exploiting the defense and hanging around. One game that just stands out off the top of my head is that Detroit game where, Detroit, everybody didn't really give the Lions much of a chance because the Lions are going to be the Lions, and against a team with, perennial playoff hopes and perennial playoff trips like the New Orleans Saints, against a Detroit team that struggled all the time and that was picking third or fourth in last year's draft. They didn't give them much of a shot. But look, they only went in, they only lost by 5, but there were 63 points in that game. So I think Miami against the spread and New Orleans with the over to the have to kind of keep your eye on.
All right, Joe Rico, any of these angles here you're looking at, these trends from some of these teams have your attention?
Well, I will say this, that the first game you guys talked about going with Miami, I can tell you this, that I spoke to quite a few sharp money crews. They're looking to go with the Chargers right off the bat, and this line goes to 3. They're going to move pretty heavily on the dog there. I will tell you that as far as things go, you got to look at Seattle, maybe bounce back a little bit. Baltimore to crush because New England is just overmatched. The Minnesota-Chicago Monday night game is perplexing to me because on paper I got to take Minnesota, but everybody I know is going to be taking Chicago. I think there's a lot of things to look at. The 7.5 bothers me in Pittsburgh, but if that line dropped down to 7, I'm all over the Steelers. Couple of totals, maybe over in the Chargers, Miami, and maybe over in Cincinnati, Pittsburgh as of right now. But I've got to wait a little bit later till I find out where everybody's going to be moving and where the line's going to move. But there's some great stuff this Sunday. There's certainly some great matchups that are going to be benefiting us sharp guys.
Yeah, just some early thoughts here on the NFL. Chris, you had some, Dad?
Yeah, I think Joe and I might have to perhaps bet a peppermilk breakfast on that Cincinnati game if he ends up taking Pittsburgh, because if Ben Roethlisberger's not 100%, I don't know how much I'm going to want to trust Mason Rudolph against Cincinnati, a Cincinnati team that's, starting to find their legs a little bit. Did their work against Tennessee. Granted, Tennessee hasn't been a great cover team this season to begin with, but I'd still take a healthy, Joe Burrow, and Cincinnati's got some pieces to work with. Granted, the Pittsburgh defense is still fully healthy, but I think getting 7 plus the hook right now is probably where I would lean in that game, unless we get a fully, healthy Ben Roethlisberger. And yeah, I mean, the Chargers and Dolphins game's a hard one just because you have two of the better cover teams in the NFL this season. I know the Chargers were the best up until a couple weeks ago before that whole debacle against the Denver Broncos, and then losing to the Raiders last week. That's just going to be a tough one to call. I'm just trying to see if there was anything else. I thought there was another game on the board that kind of stood out to me. Personally, I'm looking at Arizona laying the 2 against the Bills, but again, that kind of goes against what we've been talking about with Joe Duffy, that home field's worth 3 points. That probably tells you that the Bills should be maybe the better team here, or getting the points is the better deal. Again, it's still Wednesday. We have a couple days to really sort of dig into these and sort of take a deeper look at them, but. That's why they give us 6 days between games. That's why they give us a Thursday nighter to kind of, wet our palate and sort of get our feet wet and focus on the rest of the week.
Absolutely, guys. Chris Ruffalo and Joe D'Amico join me here as we take a quick look here, early look at the NFL. All right, now it's time to recap the picks from the show. All right, we get started here with Joe Duffy. Joe Duffy was on Baylor plus 1.5 against Texas Tech. I like that play. A lot of the panel liked it as well. Joe D'Amico, Boise State laying the 13 against Colorado State. Rod Zawacki, Ball State Eastern Michigan in progress under 62. Mitch, came in with a juicy moneyline parlay. Utah State plus 300 with Wake Forest plus 390. And a moneyline parlay, $100 returns $19.60. About 200 on it returns close to $4,000. Those odds generated by the parlay calculator over at Pig Dogs. Chris Ruffalo, Toledo moneyline plus 115 versus Western Michigan. And Al Ninos takes Central Michigan. This line has fallen. We're seeing some 6 and 5.5. They're starting to tell us in the chat room in this one against Northern Illinois. Let's start with Chris here. Other than your pick, which one do you like the best?
I don't care whatever line I get. I'm taking Central Michigan against Northern Illinois. To me, if it goes down to 5.5, 4.5, that's just less wood I have to chop. So I'll take the Chippewas in this one.
All right, we'll turn it over to Joe D'Amico. Other than yours, which one do you like the best?
Well, being that I have that game that El Nino's put out, what I'm going to do is, just in case wherever defendants on the same RICO case, I'm going to side with the other Italian on the panel tonight. I'm going to go with Chris Ruffalo and his Toledo money line play. I have that Al Nino's play tonight. I don't want to touch base on it, but I'm going to go with Ruffalo. And then, by the way, Chris, good luck to your cousin. He's up for an Emmy for that show on HBO. I'm very excited about that play too. I like everything you put out with your angles, Tony. I think everybody on the show tonight, even Mitch's his money line parlay, I think everybody's stuff was very solid tonight. There's nothing I would really question tonight, even in playing devil's advocate. I think everybody had good angles, good solid content. I think this is an overall. Everybody's got some winning content tonight, and I think that our viewers got a lot out of it. But I have to go only because I do like Chris's play, but I do have something on Al's play. So I'm going to go with the other Italian and take Chris's money line play.
All right, that was our breakthrough.
Also related to a kicker for the Kentucky Wildcats that can't kick an extra point against Ole Miss. You know how many messages I got about that?
Oh boy. All right, there. That's the drive-through, guys. Tune in tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We do this all over again. We'll have college football as well as NFL to talk about. We'll have some free picks. Have a bunch of cappers on the show. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and bring in the crew from today and give a nice wave goodbye. And don't forget to look for that team total there from Rod Zawacki here on the drive-through. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow.